What's up, guys? Huge news. We are taking the Jeep to Disney today. It's about a little over an hour and a half drive-ish. So it's right outside Tulsa, and we're in Fayetteville right now, so not too bad. I'm currently looking for my impact. There it is. We've got last couple things to do, but it's all just cosmetic stuff right now, so I'll show you what we're doing. So now you saw that we replaced this door with this green one. We also replaced this door. Still got the little trim pieces on it, so I took that off. It'd been hit. I don't know how that happened, but I hit that back out and kind of beat it as flush as I could. But now we're just messing with the interior. I got a radio for it, but whoever had this Jeep before me cut all the wires. You can see right there, they just cut them. And that is my speaker wires. So, I have no wires going to my doors. So, awesome, love that. Pretty sure that's what that is. But they've cut a bunch of other wires too. There was wires hanging like up here and up there. But yeah, so I don't have any wires going to the speakers in the door, but I do have a radio now, and if nothing else, it charges my phone, and that is courtesy of Jake as well. Yeah, so I'm just gonna put this dash back together. I had to drive it for a couple days because one day I didn't have the battery in my truck. One day I had forgotten my keys in my roommate's truck. And then another day the battery in my truck was dead. So, but yeah, I'm just gonna clean all this stuff out and we'll be ready to go. Part 2 of wires that just lead to nothing. Just look at that. Like, everything's just cut and hanging and exposed. I don't know. But we're gonna make this work. All right, got everything cleaned up, ready to go. We had to get a little U-Haul, but all cleaned out. Got all my tools back here. Hopefully don't have to use anything, but I have everything kind of nicely packed-ish. It's an old softball bucket. That'll be our recovery point that we use. We got some straps. Of course, oh my gosh, this thing is so tall. All right, got that done. So the largest tire that these will work with is like a 31 or something stupid small. So I ran that to the axle tubes because I couldn't. Normally we'd run it between this joint and right there. Can't think of what any of that's called. The CV. It's normally not a CV. Normally it's a U joint, but we'd run it between the U joint and this knuckle. But that wasn't an option with the CV because it's so big. So I ran just on both sides and ran it to this built-on ratcheting mechanism. So, yeah, I'm sure it'll work fine. Not going terribly far, but yeah, this will be a good little trip. Be my first time ever at Disney. I've never even ridden as a passenger there, so it'll be a good testing ground. I want to hit waterfall. I've been suggested that I don't, because I have never off-roaded like this. Like, we've had my old buddy had a 94, 96 like Toyota pickup that was a stick. And I used to drive that, like, I drove it like twice, maybe. But I've never done this kind of stuff. That was kind of through mud and stuff. That wasn't really even what we're doing at all today. I've driven Jake's Jeep once or twice, but that was just on trails, like on hard packed trails, not on not actually like off-roading it, so I'm gonna, the throttle's so touchy, like so touchy. I'm interested to see how it does and how I do, but it's gonna be my first time doing any of this, so don't judge too hard. I promise I'm learning. I do have good teachers, and the guy I'm going up there with, he does this kind of stuff all the time, but it's gonna be just me and him. I'm also getting to see where all I'm gonna rub, because I'm starting to get from turning, I get cuts in this just from turning on the road. So I'll get to kind of see how far I need to trim out. I feel like this fender flare is gonna have to cut like here, just to give it extra room. And I mean, we can make it look good, sand it down and all that kind of stuff. But I feel like I'm gonna rub like absolutely crazy. I need to get rid of these little hockey pucks because this lift is just too tall for that. I'm bringing an extra front drive shaft just because I fully expect to, the first time this thing like droops or bounces, I expect that front drive shaft to go. Because look at this. That is the angle. It has cut the boot on the street because of how high of an angle that is, and it makes all sorts of noise at that U-joint up there even. So I'm bringing a spare. I don't know, it won't even work. I've just thought about that. I have the spare somewhere. I don't even know anymore. I'd packed it though. It's somewhere in the Jeep, but that's not gonna work with that joint, so I might as well take that out. But yeah, I'm excited to go. It's gonna be a good trip, first time doing a lot of stuff, so don't judge too hard. We are learning. If you can't tell, today's project is going to be welding this rear diff. This is a 44A on a Dana, it's a Dana 44A on a Jeep ZJ. So right now what I'm doing is heating the carrier as well as the spider gears, because we're gonna weld right here as well as in between the gears. And hopefully that just kind of makes it a little bit stronger of a weld. One thing to watch for, this gear carrier has C-clips in the axles. So what we're gonna have to do is make sure that we can still get those out in case we ever break an axle. The smoke that you see coming off there is the gear oil that wasn't completely cleaned off burning. But yeah, so this is the process so far. Then we're just gonna grab that welder over there and weld this, and then weld it to the carrier. The carrier is cast, so you want to make sure that it's being heated constantly, because it's going to hold temperature a lot different, and it'll get hotter faster, but it won't hold the heat in as well as the spider gears.
Well, turn her on.
Me?
I'm kind of scared.
That'll be fine.
Driver.
You're on fire, Ricky Bobby.
That was just like destroying the teeth.
Yup.
No turning back now.
Yeah, we're past that point.
Cover. Well, we're getting them in there. I'm trying to make sure not to hit the...
Gotta go sell this thing. What's this now? That wasn't there a second ago. that currently is blasting 12,000 RPMs and going like 6 miles an hour. He's a good half-mile away and you can still hear that. Oh my gosh. Just leaves a cloud of blue smoke wherever it goes. All right, well, he's doing that. I'll at least show you the weld so far. So we ended up throwing this fan up there just to blow the smoke away. But there's the weld so far. Seems pretty good. We did 3 layers of it, and I think it should hold. I don't know, but we're gonna roll it around and do the other side. Not a big C4 fan, but the Skittle flavor rocks your world. That is so good. Poor girl doesn't like the downhill descents. Poor thing. Since people last time didn't think we aired down, I'm gonna be running about 10. He'll be running around 6, maybe-ish. I don't know. We'll just kind of figure it out. But yeah. I'm gonna start at around 10, and if I feel like I can run less, I'll drop it. All right, so these are 34.7 by 12.4, so they're basically a 35 by 12 and a half. And then he is running, I'll zoom in there, those are 37s by 13 and a half. So he'll have a little bit of advantage, of course, and he's also fully locked, whereas mine has the rear diff welded and the front is completely open. I'm gonna disconnect these sway bars. I do have the JKS quick disconnect. He has an actual, the actual like anti-rock sway bars. So get to kind of see the difference in roll. Mine's obviously got a lot bigger lift. His was able to tuck those 37s with I think a 3-inch lift, whereas this is like an 8-inch, and I think I definitely am gonna rub. He hit. It squeals from 12 to 10 psi, so that's how we kind of know what he's running. While I'm doing this is what I ended up doing with that exhaust pipe. I just cut a triangle out of this side and bent it away because it kept hitting that drive shaft and just making awful noises. I really think this dude is running like 50 psi in these because I aired down for like, I don't know, like I've been airing down for the past 10 minutes. And this one's still at 16. I haven't even gotten to check the rest. I've at least let some out of the rest, but still. So we ran into an overheating issue. It turns out we were a gallon low on coolant. I have not flushed that, so it has been driving on the roads with almost no coolant in it. So it was boiling every bit off. But so topped it off, started it up, topped it off again, and it's still bubbling where all the air is coming through, but should be pretty good to go. Just scary more than anything. See smoke coming all out of your hood, but I think we're gonna try waterfall, possibly. We'll see. All right, it is stupid windy, so I'm gonna try to block off the microphone. I apologize for any noise. He has attempted this in the Jeep. I believe he's attempted since he's on 37s, but he's aired down more this time than he was last time out, so gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna do my best to guide him. We will see how that goes. We'll let the ZJ at least give it a shot. It probably won't do much, but the difference between mine and his, he obviously has the bigger tires, but I have a lot longer wheelbase, so we'll see if that makes any difference. He also has front lockers. Yeah, it is. You can try, but you're just bouncing a lot.
That's so close.
It does climb up the back a little bit when you do that. You're hitting rear bumper.
I'm impressed.
You're impressed. I'm impressed. But you are hitting that rear bumper. I think you're gonna drag that before you climb. This tire just needs to climb up on that ledge. If I could just put something under that, I think you would have it. You could just climb up that instead of just hitting sidewall. Not graphic.
That feels so close.
It's like grabbing and then it just slips and slips and slips.
Like when I work my way over that way just a little bit,
Yeah.
it feels so close. And it feels like
Yeah. But does not want to grab. I don't know about it.
it felt so close.
It felt like it wants it. Like,
This tire gets up most of the way.
yeah, it comes about this high off the ground. Comes like up the first little part of the ledge. Like the underbit part.
I feel like I need to go further.
This is all the same. Until here, it's all the same angle.
They all got their boots on over there. I'll just be
climbed high. That was the highest I think you've been. I'm not gonna lie, I'm really nervous.
Your tire, it's just folding in. There you go. Now go that way. Yeah, that tire is so low, when you turn all the way, the tire just folds under the rim and it just locks up. Same spot. Back up a little. Whoa. Yeah. Sharp driver. Straighten out. Driver. Straighten out. You're good. He's good. Solid effort. She's a doozy.
So we didn't make it, but we did manage to curb the 16-inch rims. This was on the ground. You can see the cuts. Oh, this tire's warped too. They've all got like the little thing in it. But yeah, I rolled that on the ground. But nothing broke except we ripped the charcoal canister off, but it wasn't hooked up anyway.
Yeah, it'll sing.
We did overheat though, so we're sitting here again. Just top her off. I don't know. Wow. It's pretty dang steep. It's steep enough you're about to hit belly pan.
I'm hitting on the other side.
On that side, there's a big undercut rock. This rock right there, so it hung him up last time. right up to. Look how far forward that axle came as soon as it's flexed out. Your rear axle is literally like, if this is the center of the wheel well, it's like a foot up here because it's so drooped. Yeah. We ended up running about 12.5 in the front and 10.5 in the rear. And look at how flexed out that is just sitting there. Both of them. We're gonna air up next time. Making it just look easy. Like, we're not on flat ground here. That is, I don't even know, like 45-degree angle just straight up. I guess we're trying it. Wait for him to make it over the top for sure. Yeah, he made that look so easy. We'll see. Locked it in first. I guess we're gonna try this. At the top of the three-finger death punch, I think is what it's called. I could not make it up this. I got caught up right on that. Yeah, and he just blew right by it. I got caught up right here and I was just having the front diff. My front diff is still open and it was just spinning, grabbing nothing. And I tried to back out and turn there. Ended up super sideways. It just kind of ended up turning downhill, so I was like, guess we'll be going back down. I think I just snapped my front drive. And we're in the middle of a hole. Like I've made it all freaking day. And I just heard up. I'm just fully expecting. Oh no, what the fuck? I heard a pop and it started rattling. Oh, okay, something's broken. First gear. Possibly this front axle. That noise. I broke something. He's bouncing bad up there. Right, I think I'm on the right spot. Yeah. I think we broke a drive shaft or something. No, it wasn't the drive shaft. Something sounds broken. I'm seeing pure oil. What? Oh! Yeah, I don't have a front drive shaft. I was right. It broke off. Oh my god. I blew a transfer case. That's ATF dumping. You're kidding me. And that rear drive shaft's about to fall off. I'm done. Oh my god. Hey, cut it. I blew up the transfer case. I don't know if you can hear me. I don't think you can hear. Oh, he's coming. Yeah, it is dumping ACF. He's toast. Yeah, so we got up on this. It's time for an Atlas. Yeah, I got up. Front tires were on this, and it just clicked over. And I heard a snap, and I'm like, oh, something broke. And then I heard rattling around, and I'm like, okay, drive shaft at the axle. It was not drive shaft at the axle, so I hit it again. And it was drive shaft. You can see up here, it snapped off of the transfer case. You can see the bolt snapped, and there's a huge crack in the transfer case to the left of the U-joint right there. And so it's just bleeding onto the ground. Yeah, and the coolant's mad at me again.
I think it just heat soaks when it sits still.
I guess. I brought three Allen keys, and one happened to be this exact size. But you can see it tore the boot, and this is at such. This is at such an angle, like it bound up there. It stripped all the bolts. You can see like the threads are missing at the end. Those one's torn up. Yeah, all the threads are missing, and I can't, like it. Oh, this thing.
Looks like the cup came.
The cup came, yeah. It's completely at an angle there where like I can't move it. So like this is in one piece but broken still. Like I can't physically line that back straight. Oh, what?
Yeah, it broke the centering. I think it's called a centering yoke in the middle of it.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's out of the little thing it's supposed to be in. Like it's supposed to be in that little black boot, and it came out. What a pain.
Yeah.
The fact that I had like a spare, like that's stupid.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's fine.
That's probably why it wouldn't roll, is because your front wheels were still trying to turn the drive shaft.
Yeah.
The drive shaft was just bound up sitting there.
Yeah. Well, that's one way to end it. Like, I didn't even get it on video because that's like not even a hard obstacle. It just had a little bit of undercut, bound it up, and broke that joint. Then, yeah, like, so basically what it comes down to is the lift is too tall for drive shafts to stay in this thing. I don't know, but yeah, which way? Alright, update on the transfer case. Right there is the crack. We think that instead of it cracking because it actually bound up, we think that it cracked because the drive shaft hit there. Because that would be right in line with where the drive shaft is. You can also see one or possibly two of the snapped off bolts in there. But yeah, yep, just too much lift. We're debating what to do next. Potentially a high pinion 30 would fix it, and then take off the puck lifts up front or something. I don't know. I'm just glad I don't have to replace the whole transfer case. We will probably be just welding that back together. But did pretty well overall. It didn't climb waterfall. That was my hope. But yeah, good little part. Glad we're doing it now on the shakedown run, not on a weekend long trip. Yeah. Banged up that, broke that, and took out that little finger, or that part of the... I am gonna drop the, yeah, we had the hood open so it'd get more air.
Check out how I rigged the strap and just did the other.
Okay.
So you can just put your strap around and hook it on there.
And you just, oh, okay. Sure. That'll work. Yep. Yeah, here's my dead deer. Ooh, this strap's cut. This one won't work, I don't think. It might. It'll be.
This one's frayed really bad.
This one's actually cut.
I got more straps.
Yeah, I'll probably just do it to the axle. Save some time. Ain't no reason. Just to add to what all went wrong. So we got back in two-wheel drive, obviously, but it snapped the muffler off. So my little idea to push it out of the way lasted a ride, I guess. It technically lasted a ride, even though the ride was cut short. But it did not get any louder with no muffler versus the muffler that was on it. So it's kind of, I don't know. Those 5.2s are just an underpowered V8, so it just kind of, it at least sounds okay. It doesn't sound like it's clapping or anything. Like it's okay. So I'm probably just gonna put a downpipe on it so it's not blowing just directly on my gas tank like they had it set up. And hopefully, I don't know, maybe that muffler's not worth anything. I can't even sell that. It's probably just going in the trash. But oh well, at least we tried it. But yeah, so I think that we're gonna look into welding the transfer case, but based on what people say, JB Weld holds better than a weld because it's a powdered aluminum cast metal, and it's just really hard to weld that. So especially with MIG, they said that if you had a TIG welder and you took the time to pull it off and TIG weld the inside and the outside, then it would probably hold. But if I'm gonna pull this thing apart and take it off again, I'm just gonna get a new one. Because I mean, $100 is not that bad for what it is. Still never got it to go into two-wheel drive. That was the whole reason to get this transfer case over another 249. But yeah, it's fine. It honestly did pretty well for being stuck in four-wheel drive. I was having overheating issues, but based on what the coolant looks like, we think that the coolant itself was actually like burned up and like legitimately may have never been changed on this thing. And it's about to hit 176,000 miles, and it was like really, really dark orange coolant, and it was starting to boil around like 215, 220, and so it shouldn't be boiling at that temperature. And the temperature went up when we added new coolant. I just happened to have a gallon of coolant in it, and it took every bit of that gallon just to get it to the right level even. So good trip overall. I like Disney. The rocks, not gonna lie, kind of freaked me out a little bit, but I liked the trails in the woods felt like that was better to just learn on and stuff. Versus the rocks are very unforgiving and very tall. When I was trying waterfall, we had a couple runs before we started videoing because he wanted to really be able to spot me well without being distracted by the camera, and I appreciate that, of course. But I almost rolled it like a couple times because that angle is just stupid tall. I felt, he said the one time I was lined up right was the worst I felt. He said the first time I hit it, I was on the right line, but because I don't have the front end locked, the back end just kind of slid over, and nothing I could really do about it at that point. So it is what it is, but yeah, a locker's on the way for it eventually. We've still got to figure out what we're gonna do to make the drive shaft work, because with the thing being as tall as it is, it just sits at such an angle. I think even with 2 U-joints, it would just blow drive shafts every ride or every couple rides. So we need to get that figured out. It had the CV shaft in it for this ride, and just driving it around town, like I drove it for like 2 or 3 days, and it blew the front CV on the drive shaft, and just ripped that boot up, and was just spraying. It was spraying not gear oil. It was spraying grease everywhere, and so I assumed that would be what would break, but it actually bound up at the U-joint itself. So I don't think having 2 U-joints would be any better. I think we're just gonna have to do something where we either, I don't have the money for like a 4-link stretch. That's eventually what would be best for it if we're gonna keep this height. I'm gonna look into just seeing if we can shorten the springs maybe, just so it's not such a crazy angle. But even with the lift it has now, it was all in my wheel well, and on waterfall it ripped my brake lines off of the wheel well. It did not break them or tear them or anything, but it ripped the screw out of like that inner fender well. So realistically it needs to be at least the lift it is, or I'm gonna start losing parts. But so we think a high pinion, either a high pinion 44 out of a Ford, it's not an Explorer, there's a Ford high pinion 44. There's a Ford high pinion 44 we're gonna try to look for, but I really don't want to do an axle swap right now, like at all. So we'll look into it, but we're gonna have to figure something out, because it's the angle that the drive shaft is at is just gonna keep blowing those drive shafts, and the joints just can't hold up to that level of constant abuse on them. And the drive shaft that was in it was brand new, I might add, like still fresh paint, still looked really nice. Custom length for this Jeep, and it just doesn't last. You cannot make a drive shaft that will last at that angle. If somebody like Gorilla Axle wants to sponsor me and do something like that, but I've never known of a drive shaft to last at that angle. And even CVs, I'm talking about Gorilla Axle. Gorilla Axle makes ATV axles that are designed to be up to a 45-degree angle, and even those, I mean, they hold up well, but a CV at a not parallel angle is going to just, it's gonna ruin it over time, because it's just such a hard stressor on the drive shaft, or in Gorilla Axle's case, in the axles, that it's gonna break. So we gotta figure out what we're gonna do with it. But I hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't ever been to Disney, I highly recommend. But definitely come with somebody who knows what they're doing, knows what they're talking about, because those trails are very, very unforgiving. So there were a couple places we kind of had to stay away from, because there were a couple areas we had to kind of stay away from, just because it's gonna lead to a ton of body damage if anything is done wrong. So we just kind of let those places be, and we'll hit them eventually, I feel like, but not when I'm just testing out the rig, getting used to what it feels like. It grabbed the rocks really well with being way under what PSI we need to be running in those tires. But it does not, it felt floaty, if that makes sense. Like, it felt like I was going side to side and all over. Part of that could be just because of the air pressure, but we're gonna look into it and see, because I know my steering is kind of loose too. I also, with that air pressure I was running, the tire was folding on top of itself, and made steering in like tight scenarios impossible, because it was just rolling that tire up under itself, and it couldn't go any further. So I think just tire pressure alone will help with that, though. So I'm gonna look, or my buddy's, he just came across a set of 36-inch tires, just like what he has, the bias ply TSL boggers or something like that. And so I may start running those. We're gonna see what kind of shape they're in. He did say they were a little bit dry rotted, but that'd give me a little bit of extra clearance, which I need with that 44A, just because it's such a big housing. But we'll see if we're ready to make that jump. I need to figure out what I'm doing as far as clearance wise, because gonna need some more clearance for sure for the tires now even. And if I go any wider, I can't fit on a U-Haul trailer, which is how we're doing this right now. So yeah, lots of ideas, not a lot of money or time, but we're trying to get it to where it's at least a reliable vehicle for now, and hopefully go big with it sooner than later, but we'll see. But hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to like and subscribe. There'll be a ton more coming out on this thing, so be sure to stay tuned next time.